All the girls and girls in tech, thank you for watching this. My name is Dheeraj Pandey. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Nutanix. I grew up in India. I came to the US when I was 22 to University of Texas, Austin for a PhD in computer science that I eventually dropped out of, but it was a lot of fun. We were just one employee in January of 2010. We are 2,700 people right now. And on the outside it might all look hunky-dory, but we've gone through a lot of very difficult challenges. And the most important thing in all of this is resiliency. There's a word that I'm beginning to learn now. It's called anti-fragile. It's a great book written by Nicholas Nassim Taleb, T-A-L-E-B. And I encourage all of you to actually take a look. At least the first 60 pages of the book are worth reading. It talks about this idea of anti-fragility, of how when you go through a shock, you can become better. Not just get back to where you were, which is what resilience is, but you can become better. So for those who are starting in tech, I would really like for you to respect design thinking. How do you think of human-computer interaction? What does UI look like? User interface look like? What is the graphical user interface? What are APIs? One of the most important things that we deal with in computer science is how do machines talk to other machines, and how do machines talk to people? That's probably the most important thing to understand in tech itself. One of the key steps that companies need to take for gender equality is to be aware of the problem. Because if we don't even recognize the problem, we'll never even take steps to go upstream to colleges and actually think about what our overall funnel looks like for hiring and recruiting. And we need to get really good at these numbers at the top to say, are we getting enough women to actually interview in a company as well? And there's awareness all along the way, not just at the time of hiring, but also at the time of promoting and looking at performance reviews and annual reviews, and how do you actually go through training during employment and things like that. So I think the key watchword is awareness. The key factor of any entrepreneurship is the staying power. It's the ability to go through these naysayers and fence-sitters, because most people will tell you, you can do it. And this is true for girls and boys together. You can do it, it has been done, this is too hard a problem, this is a science project, you don't have the skills to do it. These are the kind of naysayings that you'll have to go through, that I went through as well, that every entrepreneur actually goes through this. And this is where taking the self-doubt out is probably the most important virtue of an entrepreneur. So know yourself, become fearless, realize that people in front of you are a bell curve of people, some who will believe in you, some will be sitting on the fence watching you, and yet many, many more will say you can do it. Diversity is a very important topic for pretty much any group. We talk about a gene pool that's diverse, and we all know biologically it's a powerful concept, with different ideas, perspectives, vantage points, checks and balances. All these things become very important in this melting pot of people and thoughts itself. And that's what creates this grassroots ideation engine that builds great companies. So it's very important for us at Nutanix as well to have that kind of diversity. One of the most important characteristics that every leader should possess is authenticity. There's a great TED speaker who has also written some really good books. His name is Mike Robbins. And he talks about authenticity being really a continuum. You can be dishonest, you can be honest, but to really be authentic, you need to remove self-righteousness and add vulnerability. So the two key words are beyond honesty, which I think is a given. You have to be honest. You have to remove self-righteousness and add vulnerability. And I think that's probably the most important thing that is true for your careers, for companies, for leaders, and everybody else as well. One of the people that I really appreciate and respect is Dr. Condi Rice. I learned a lot from her about self-assuredness. This is probably one of the most important virtues of a leader, is to be confident, fearless, self-assured, where you don't think you're being judged, and yet you're doing the right thing in terms of courage, in terms of authenticity, and having a little bit of vulnerability as well in the process.